Welcome back to the Scope Podcast, Friday edition. Normally where Scope talks shit on his videos, but like we said last week, been going all right with a bit of the jam that he's been providing as well. Lukey?
Not bad. 3 from 4 last week.
3 from 4
but
last
you did
week.
two. It was two different bets. Is that right?
No, so I did the SPC multi that I was really confident about on the first day. I did my best work when it comes to the multis on the first day. Stayed true, got that done. We had the Packers game and I picked the Bills over the Ravens. I was very confident in that. We'll get into the breakdown of those games and why I thought those games and why I'm confident about these games. Before we get into it, subscriptions.
Yes.
We're pushing that still. It's going really well at the moment.
We're close to 20K. If we can get over 20K in the next week or
20K
so,
is done.
Might be a little giveaway. You never know.
And so on that as well, is there anything, would you be grateful if we got to 20K? Have you got a grateful for us this morning?
That is a good grateful.
Yeah.
What am I grateful for this morning? Grateful for the new haircut.
Oh, that is good. Yeah,
happening.
nice.
Bumped into Dylan Brown out there in Rouse Hill yesterday. Had a good little yarn.
Very clean.
Talk a bit about the bush stuff of doom from his perspective.
Oh, yeah. Did he enjoy it?
He did enjoy. Bumped into the scope.
Yeah.
So.
He was spraying me too all night, so it was a giggle. Who gave you the haircut and where can you find him?
Juice Barber at Blenson Brothers out in Rouse Hill.
Oh, yeah. The boys. I know the boys. Is that the Van Goghs in there?
Yeah.
Gun.
So that's the local out there in Rouse Hill for
Yeah,
me.
good lads. Known those boys for a minute as well. I'm going to... My grateful this morning, and it got reaffirmed this morning while I was having a coffee this morning. I think one of the first videos that I put up at the start of the year was I'm off the Katanis. I've done good. I'm solid. I'm 3 weeks in. I'm going really good. Despite my pleas for degenerates to not send me any videos, you've still been sending them. But the dick pics are gone, so I'm grateful for that.
Very grateful.
For the dick pics are gone.
Do you reckon Simmy's going to take that card now?
Hopefully. That'd be nice. Actually, if you're listening here, send dick pics to Simmy. That'll be a giggle. I'm grateful that those are done. I'm also grateful for my discipline. I've been getting after it. I've been very accountable, keeping to a strict schedule, training. Even though it doesn't look like it, it's still got the mutters, but underneath there's a good engine. Everyone knows that.
And we just need to take a quick moment. Our good friend Jackson over in New Zealand was involved in an unfortunate accident with an Uber driver. He was... If you know Jackson, you know he loves his vintage, and the king of vintage, Sean Weatherspoon, rides a Vespa. So Jackson's now riding a Vespa over there in NZ. And he got wiped out by an Uber, but he's okay. He's in the hospital bed. We'll pop that image up now. Yep. Looking like a glamour, but we thought we'd get him a little gift.
There you go. That's from, if you know Jackson, you know he loves ice as well. So there's ice that's got him a personalised. That's an on-card auto too right there. Yeah. That's big time.
We'll get that graded, PSA 10.
That's big time that. So that's going to grade really well from the boss.
Would you like to chip in with a grateful? You've had your grateful on Instagram this morning.
Grateful for dogs. They teach you many great lessons, unconditional love, and greet people with enthusiasm.
Good grateful. Really good grateful. Moving on. Actually, now that you mentioned it, I hope, because me and Jackson got a little wager this morning, but I don't know if there's concussion. How's the head? Because...
Hey, the head's looking good. If you look at the photo...
Still a glamour?
Still a glamour. He looks like he's just at his wedding lying in this bed.
Okay. All right. Well, I was a little bit worried this morning too because he's gone and hit me up. He said, Warriors top 4, don't at me.
I think he might have hit his head.
So I added him. I just wrote back at, right? So I just did him I chucked the little at sign on there and he goes, I smell a wager. So I said, talk to me. So what we're going to bet on this year... Who is going to go further out of my bird gang and his Warriors? That is kiddies.
Well, the Warriors did take one of the bird gang's best drive going forward in Fanor Blake, but I don't know. I think he's still got it.
And I mentioned that in my scope spotlights with regards to one player in particular having to pick up. But I think we're going to put that on the website. Scope spotlights. Have we talked about that
coming
before?
Soon. So the website's pretty much done. Got all the content there ready to go.
It's going to be exclusive content.
Scope Scoop.
Scope specials. And let's move on to...
Bit of golf day chat.
Okay, yeah. So the event, as you know, the golf day is well and truly underway. I had a really good meeting with Tash on Wednesday after we got confirmation from the 257 boys are in, Kayla and Connor, and I'm going to announce people as we go on. They're going to come on my podcast. We forgot to mention on the Flano podcast, which is dropping today, Flano's in. So there's one from the Bulldogs. We're going to be spreading it around. I want maybe a player or two from each team. I forgot to ask Flano if he was in, but got confirmation he is in. So at the moment, we have the YKTR crew. We've got some big things happening. We're going to have a lot going on around in the day. We also got confirmed that the Coast Golf Course, they want us in there. So it's going to be here. It's going to be here in Little Bay. Really good course. I'm an ambassador there, do a little bit of stuff for them. So excited to have those guys on board. So we just got to go through the T's and C's and whatnot. So we've got the Prez, myself, Kalen Ponga, Connor Watson, Kyle Flanagan so far. Good start.
Not a bad day.
Really good start. And another thing that I'm going to be doing, I've chucked it down there as well. I don't know if you've noticed last year, I went to Mount Kitties, Mount Kosciuszko, and did a retreat. Mm-hmm. It's going to be something separate I'm going to be doing away from YKTR. I spoke to Ice about it yesterday. It's not sort of his vibe. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a retreat with one of my mates, Tommy Kerr. He takes people up. It's the ultimate scope vibe. It's getting after it, immersing yourself in the trenches, doing some. There'll be like a bit of a training period leading up to it. But I've said to Tommy that I've locked myself in for one per month of winter. So June, July. I think the first one's going to be on the long weekend of June, July. I did it last year. I really enjoyed it. I had such a good time. We climbed to the top of Mount Kosciuszko just in our shorts. It's one of those experiences that you've sort of got to do it to realise how gratifying is that. Gratifying is that the grateful thing to anyway something like.
I know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, so you get the idea of that, and then it's like a bit of a weekend retreat thing. So we'll get after it for the first couple of days. We're going to jump straight in the lake on the first day. We do the mountain on the second day. And then we get on the piss and have a few drinks and
down at the beach,
got a nice little cabin. Everything's immersed, everything's tied in together, and it's a good little weekend. So if you can get away for that long weekend, I'll be talking about that a little more. I'll be posting on my own Instagram about my plans with that. So looking
beautiful
forward to that.
Part of the world down there, Jindabyne.
It's going, man. And last year we went during like when COVID was getting really weird, so it was a little bit different. I'm not too sure if there will be the restrictions or whatever, but it was still a really good weekend regardless. It was really rewarding, like I said. Once you get to the top of that mountain, you're with your mates, you take the pictures, you embrace it. It's fucking cold up there. Love getting after it.
Especially in winter as well. You went on the back end. You were only like spring last year where there was still a bit of snow up there, but they had a storm the week leading in, I remember it.
Yeah, no, I think it was winter. But we got really good weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was it was just at the start of winter just at the start of winter as well. And there was like this big snowstorm. It stopped for the weekend. We got some sun. So when we went up there, which helped out immensely, but and then the next week, and then it was fucking, you couldn't see anything. And it was just like white snow. And I'm not talking Catonies. It was proper white. So those are my plans for some of the things that I'm going to organise. The golf day is going to be tied in with YKTR. That's going to be my little thing on the side as well. I'm really looking forward to those.
We've got a big week next week. Hopefully Bryce Cartwright and potentially your mate Tracker.
Okay, so Bryce is keen. He's coming in definitely. And I've messaged Tracker. So hopefully he's going to get back to me, speak to BC. We've also got, I can go through them. I can see him there as well. We've got 10 in the Kens back. The boys, my old mate Mutters is in army camp. So he didn't want to be... He wanted a lot of rest on Wednesday night before he went into army camp. That's why no one's been able to reach him. The phone's been off, so he's been
getting after it.
Been getting after it big time. Those army camps are fucking putrid too. They take your phones away from you. Sleep deprivation. Really good, really good for a young group. It's one of those things like once you've done it, it's hard to get that same vibe. This is what I said to Normie. Normie's done a couple of them before, but it's a really good opportunity for Normie to lead the way.
Definitely.
With the year that they're going to have, they've got a young group. There's not that the expectations for them aren't that high, but this is a big year for Normie. These are the types of situations that he's got to throw himself into. He's really excited about it. So he didn't want to do 10 in the Ken because he just wanted to get some good rest and fucking smash himself up for it. So we'll get Normie back in next Wednesday. The boys have agreed for next Wednesday.
And then the boxers, the old Toddy, Carney and Sandor getting after it in the ring.
Yeah, so I'm calling them the Bondi Brawlers. Both the boys have spent a bit of time in Bondi. Sandor Earl and Toddy Carney, a couple of my mates. They will be fighting different people. So I thought they were fighting each other, but Toddy is fighting.
Toddy is fighting Scotty Prince.
Yep.
And then Sandor's up against Justin Hodges. Ooh. So we saw what happened to Justin Hodges last time he was in the ring, but looks like a new sort of fight for Sandor. I don't think he's been boxing training for too long, so it should be interesting to see how that plays out.
He's obviously a rig. He gets after it all the time. It's a different kettle of fish though when you're just hitting the pad. So I wonder if he's had. I know, spending time over in Thailand when he did for a little bit with his gym. I wonder if he did any like amateurish stuff over there.
Wouldn't surprise me. That's obviously a big part of the culture there, doing all the
getting a bit of a
Muay
base.
Thai and whatnot. But different kettle of fish. Justin's obviously had 3 or 4 fights. Obviously the last one, you probably scratched that from being a fight. He wasn't in there for that long.
Yeah, but he'd also want that obviously bouncing right back from that performance would be massive. So if he wants to continue doing this, I guess he's going to have to put in a pretty big effort against Sandor.
Yeah, exactly. And then Toddy as well. Does he have a fighting? Is any
Toddy fought Chrissy Sandow back in the day?
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
That was a fucking giggle.
That was at Moore Park down there, wasn't it? Were you there?
I was overseas, I think.
Was that on the junior polo fight card with Gal? I vaguely remember. It was just chaos.
It was chaos.
It was just absolute
Pretty was throwing
chaos.
around. Pikey's doing these arms popping back. He's got like his tight little techers. Me and Toddy Carney played together at Catalans. We were pretty good mates, and we used to do like a lot of boxing, hitting the pads. He's got some nice power, Toddy, but it's one of those things, obviously, like we've said before, when all that nervous energy comes in and people start watching you, it's like, even when we played that basketball game, right, we're bad. Like, we're not that great anyway, but we looked worse than what we are when it just starts scrimmaging, mucking around, playing hoops.
As soon as we stopped filming that day, the shots started going in.
Yeah, like the basketball improved. So all that energy, all that nervous energy is obviously massive.
Scotty Prince is an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
It's a bit random. You wouldn't go, oh, Scotty Prince, ready to get after it in the ring, but... You know what I mean?
There's a bit in that. Yeah, I like it. But I'm not too sure. He wouldn't be getting himself in this sort of situation if he hasn't had some sort of training or actually it depends on how much money.
Another good one on that card. I'm just looking at it. Your mate Willie versus Sam Thaiday.
Oh yeah.
That's opening the night. So I reckon we'll do a bit of content around that. Obviously you're getting the boys on for the podcast, but it could be the introduction of a companion for the year, I think. It's an early start. It could be a good one.
Mace is a fucking giggle. There'll be 1,000 text messages sent between him and Sam. I don't know Sammy at all, but I'd imagine that Mace would be sending him messages telling him how it's going to go down. So, it'll be funny to watch anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Getting into the NFL, you had not a bad week. We touched on it a little bit earlier. Packers, Rams, you got through on that one. Ravens, Bills, you picked that too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and that was for the SPC multi. Both those games were the SPC multi, and I won 1,800 for the kitty. So off 500, I won 1,800. I was really confident going into those games. Do you want to mention the next 2 games?
Yeah, we had Browns and Chiefs. You said that was a coin flip?
No, the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs, but and I had them in a multi 1-13. That ended up coming to fruition, I think mainly because Paddy got hurt, but...
It was Bucks Saints. It was a coin flip.
Saints was a coin flip. I was... Now looking back, it's one of those things when you look back on it, but let's just touch on the first games and work our way down. Packers and Rams, really confident. Ramsey did... reasonably good job against Devontae Adams. But the reason I love my Packers so much in this game, well, one, they were playing really well, but Aaron Donald was clearly injured. I said in the podcast that I thought he did his ribs. It come out to be that he done his ribs. You said he got frustrated. He wasn't in the game. That was massive for our Packers, and very confident, did that pretty easy onto the – so that sort of just tied up that game. And with our defense, I always thought we were going to be able to make some plays against Jared Goff with the broken hand and whatnot, and it turned out that way. So I think I nailed everything about that game, and very happy with myself.
No more Lamar this season for the next game?
Another game that I thought I nailed pretty well. I talked about the Bills taking away Lamar's running game. If he doesn't have those big splash plays, what do they have? Are they going to beat him with a pass? No, they're not. The Bills are going to take it to the house on an intercept. They have improved as the year's gone on schematically. The Bills, I thought the Bills' offense didn't look all that crash hot, but they didn't have to. I was going to come down to, I think they played the game perfectly. They beat the spread. The game was a little bit closer than the Packers-Rams game, but for me, it was never in doubt when I was watching. I was very confident it was going to play out like that way, and it did.
The next game was the anything is possible when he's come on.
Oh, yes. You got me there. You threw me off. So Patty Mahomes gets injured in the third quarter. I was starting to get a little bit nervous. You'd think the Browns would have going to make one last big drive, but Chad Henne comes in, unreal. What's the word? Oh, I suppose just coaching. Like for Chad Henne to execute that play right at the end, like he did,
The run.
but for not the run, the pass on 4th and 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because if they miss that, Browns have got it from the 50-yard line with, I believe, about 2 minutes left on the clock. One, to have the faith in that they didn't really change any of their scheme shows like that's big dog coaching by Andy Reid. I said before the game, Andy Reid is historically really good after a bye and big decisions. I don't know if there's a coach in the league bar Bill Belichick that maybe makes that sort of call. And then obviously Henne to execute it as well, the big run. Paddy Mahomes looks a bit banged up, so we'll talk about that going into this week. But I had the Chiefs 1-13, and I nailed that one as well.
On the nose there. And then the Bucks Saints, Brady, just being Brady.
Bucks Saints, for me, this game was more about Drew Brees, and this is why I'm a bit filthy on myself in hindsight, because I've said in our fantasy group for a couple of years, Drew Brees is done. He obviously been unreal in the regular season, but by the end of the season, he's always, in the last couple of years in particular, looked a bit tired. His arm strength isn't that great. So what teams have done, I've found in the past, is they've really shortened up the field. They're not worried about anyone going deep. They're cutting off those short routes to Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara checkdowns and whatnot. Bucks did it really well, made a couple of picks. One thing I'll say about the GOAT, and this is what I was messaging the boys in the group as well, is his presence. I feel like the Saints felt like they had to force it at the end, even when I think they were up 20-13 or 17-10 or something like that. And they were doing stuff that they didn't need to do. But when you've got number 12 sitting on the other side in a Bucks uniform, and he's just looking at his tablet doing these ones and like not even watching the game, his presence is intimidating enough. And in the end, he didn't have to make that many big plays. But when he did get in the red zone, he made him pay. He didn't turn the ball over. Clinical Brady performance when he got his opportunity. Bucks defense steps up and gets the job done.
So some huge games Monday our time, starting at 7 o'clock. First one is the Packers.
Yep.
Got my NFC Champions shirt
Love
on today
that
for you, Scope.
Do you want to come around and show the people on the camera?
They know what it's like. Packers Bucks. It should be a mad game.
It should be a good game. And obviously there's only 2 games, so they're going to both be on the SBC multi. I'm really confident about my Packers in this one. Bucks beat them in week 6 or 7 this year, but I remember at the start of that game, I thought we were travelling relatively nicely, 10-0 up. Rodgers ends up throwing a couple of picks, gets rattled. A couple of things I take away from that game. Getting a call as we're going there. That's a podcast. Two or three things I take away from that game. Rodgers wasn't all in at this point. The Packers were rolling, but I don't believe Rodgers was all in on the system. Now he is. He relied on Devontae Adams, even though Devontae Adams is still his guy. I felt like he had no faith in Lazard, Valdez-Scantling, some of these guys. Bobby Tonyan, tight end. That's completely changed now. I think we're a way better running team now. I think we can control the clock, and if Rodgers takes out some of those errors, because once again, Brady was under pressure from his end at the start of the game. But once he got comfortable, it was like the Saints game. Once he gets comfortable, it's fucking game over. Like, he'll put you away. All of a sudden, there's a couple of touchdowns. He doesn't make mistakes. So I think there's a couple of players I'll highlight that are going to be big, and they both play the same position, and they're both on the teams that I'm backing. Kenny Clark, who's a DT for the Packers, has been playing unreal for us lately. I think if he can generate some pressure up the guts against Tom Brady, historically in the past, if anyone's been able to put some pressure on him, it's when they rush 4, drop 7 into coverage. We've got Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith brothers on the outside. If Kenny Clark can get up the middle, put some pressure on their offensive line, I think that goes a long way into us winning. I think we might be able to get a couple of turnovers, a couple of big plays on defense, so watch out for that during the game. And then maybe Rodgers this time around, because he's got more faith in our defense, a running game. It might not be a historically grouse Rodgers game, but he does enough to get the job done. I've got Packers 1-13 in that game.
One thing you forgot to mention is how grateful Rodgers is at the moment.
How good's that too, by the way? So he's been watching the Scope podcast. I know I've been reached out to 12, got him on Instagram. He doesn't follow me back, but there's been DMs. I don't have to prove that. He's taken the gratitude and could you have put it better?
Never.
You know what? No, should we? That'll take too long. I was gonna put it up on the mic, so if you missed out on it, but unreal from the GOAT. That gratitude, that energy that you put into everyday life, it does manifest and win you the MVP of your league. So, congrats to the MVP future. We'll talk about next year, but next week. Sorry, but he will be MVP next week.
And Chiefs versus Bills the next game.
All right. So, as you probably know, I've declared three teams. All three teams that I declared 4 or 5 weeks ago, Lukey, are in the top four. They were favourites, but a lot of people were starting to feel the Ravens. What was another team? Saints. I said the Bucks are there, but I'm confident the Packers will get the job done. Anyway, on to me gloating about myself again. Chiefs versus Bills. This one scares me a little bit. I've gone the Chiefs for the same margin, 1-13. These two, I think they might even played each other the same week, bro. Like, can you check week 6, week 7, as we're doing this, Chiefs, Bills? Oh, Siri thinks, well, I'm asking Siri to check. Chiefs versus Bills, I think they might even played the same week. And the Chiefs got the job done, but these two are completely different teams. I think that this ended up changing the momentum for both teams. Bills figured out their defense, Lukey.
Yeah, they played in October, 20th of October, Kansas 26-17.
26-17, yes, another close game. That's the margin that I'm looking for. The Chiefs at this point looked unstoppable. Teams started to mix up their defenses a little bit just after this, and then they had to reassess, like going up in Oakland and Las Vegas, New England. I think the Patty Mahomes concussion doesn't scare me at all. I don't think it's weird. I watched a video on it. It didn't even look like he was that fucking concussed.
Hopefully it doesn't mean the opposite of that, though. It is.
Yeah, well, the thing that I'm worried about is the turf toe. And that seems to be I think that's what caused him more drama than anything. And if you remember last year going into it was a Super Bowl. Last year in the Super Bowl against San Fran, one of Patty's underrated weapons is his running game. He doesn't have to do it all the time, but when he does it really well. He had a 3rd and 15 against the 49ers. They end up scoring a touchdown or a field goal on that drive, but they had a 3rd and 15 outside of field goal range. Patty runs it, gets the first down, and that completely changed the game. They were getting pumped, they were under pressure, and not much was happening. So if Patty loses that against this Bills defense, it could be an interesting game. I definitely give the Bills a chance in this one, whereas I'm confident from the Packers will get the job done. I give the Bills a chance in this one. So the 1-13. Another player, like I said, the Execs took a guy to watch out for who has been okay this year. He's one of the better players at the position again at defensive tackle is Chris Jones. Last year he made some really big plays in the playoffs. They're a feast or famine sort of defense where they can give up yards and give up big moments because the offense might score really quickly or whatever, and they're always out on the field. But when it comes time for a big moment, watch out for number 95, Chris Jones. He's always thereabouts. His mate Frank Clark on that defensive line there. They're able to make some plays. So if you're looking out for that game, watch out for 95 right in the meat and potatoes of it because they need to get some pressure on Josh Allen. They need to contain Josh Allen's scrambling ability as well. So for me, that's a coin flip, but I'm happy to go the Chiefs. I've backed the Chiefs all year, and I'd love to see, just purely for me being a Packers fan, if we can go through the GOAT, Tom Brady, and then potentially beat the baby GOAT, Patty Mahomes, because I think, being a Rodgers fan through all these years, the big knock on him, despite his stats, is that he hasn't got it done. Patty's been able to get it done in the last couple of years. Brady's obviously the GOAT, and he will never surpass him, and that's, obviously taking my bias out of it as well. But I think he can cement his spot as number 2 of all time with the win in the Super Bowl, so I hope he can get the job done.
Definitely. We'll wrap it up for the week. Good luck, everyone, on Monday if you're getting after it.
Yeah.
It's not a public holiday. Public holiday is
it's
Tuesday.
So,
but everyone will still be tuning in. You'll be tuning in.
Fucking oath.
Let's go.
Skip a signing out, baby.